And in second grade, February of 1967, my second grade teacher talked about Abraham Lincoln. Then hearing the concept of slavery was so horrific for me that I actually know exactly where I was sitting in that class, because that was a turning point that I realized that if good people don't act, bad people prevail. And really horrible things happen to other human beings. The very next year, I started volunteering for campaigns. And I did that as an 8-year-old, with canvassing with the gubernatorial candidate, introducing out to the neighbors. I always like to joke with the high school Democrats, like, well, when I was in high school, I was the New Hampshire high school Democrat.
So you were the town chair, right, of the Canterbury Democrats when you were 14, 15?
Well, technically, it was my mother's name, but I did all of the work. And I got well known for that. And I often wonder, what did the folks really think of this little 14-year-old who was so raring to go? The party was not a place where a lot of young people were involved or engaged in. I always felt somewhat alone at many of the events and functions. And I really felt it's important the party to reach out to young people.
I first met him when I was chairing Jimmy Carter's campaign, and he was one of the young kids that wanted to help. We had this one event where we called all the people who were going to support Jimmy Carter come together. 300 people we sent out names to. 8 people showed up. Raymond was one of the 8. He used to come to all the meetings and was so enamored with Jimmy Carter that he became a lifelong friend.
Billy was the chair of the campaign, and just really got us all excited.
Just a young, runny-nosed kid that knew he wanted to help, didn't know how to help, but knew he wanted to help, and worked. His work ethic was just always there. He was always there.
Can you tell me a little bit about being a gay kid in New Hampshire in the 60s, 70s, 80s?
We were drilled into our head as children that you could simply your life was not worth, didn't have value, didn't have worthiness, and when I was in high school, one of my friends, who I didn't even know was gay, I was kind of oblivious to it. His father had found out that he was gay. And he didn't feel he had any options, and he went into the bar and hung himself. Family didn't do a funeral, nothing. They were so embarrassed by him being a gay kid. We were told just to take it back then, and so it was hard. I do tell a story about when we were watching the news one time. I was around 15, and there was a teaser that there had been a raid on a Boston homosexual bar. And I was like, oh, so I grabbed a crayon out of one of my sister's hands, grabbed a scrap of paper, and I wrote the name of the bar down on a little side piece of paper that I had, and I folded up and I kept it in my pocket growing up, because I knew that if things got really bad, I could walk somehow to Boston and there would be somebody there that cared.
I have known Ray Buckley for probably 30 years. He and I served in the House together. We filed legislation together. We helped build support for that legislation. Ray brought a lot of energy, and he has a very good sense of humor, whatever it was that we were trying to accomplish. He and I have been involved in a lot of different initiatives ever since I was in the House. We did a lot for gay marriage together, as one example. It was not just a policy position, it came from the heart.
So I decided to run for the legislature, and I got elected. And in my very first term, at the height of the AIDS crisis in the mid-'80s, there were 2 pieces of legislation that were introduced. One was the prohibition of gay men from donating blood. The other bill that was put in was the prohibition of anyone who's perceived to be homosexual. Doesn't have to be, but just perceived as homosexual. You were prohibited from adopting, serving as a foster care giver, or even custody. And I was very proud that I sponsored the legislation that repealed that law. We were the first state in the country to repeal that law. The list of agenda items that we wanted to accomplish, we actually accomplished all of them within 10 years. Then ran for vice chair in 1999. So it was in 99 that we got elected. I think that we really began turning the party around. That we used to be very nomadic. I think it's important for people to see that this isn't a red state anymore. It's not a red state, we're a competitive state, and we're going to compete on every level and every race.
I just want to say that Ray Buckley has been a terrific friend, and I always appreciate his insight, his warmth, and his loyalty.
I have to give Ray a lot of the credit for his steadiness, his determination to build what we have today.
I think the party changed after Raymond became chair because it broadened its base and it brought in a number of new supporters. I think it was also very effective in working with county chairs. So I think across the board, he just strengthened the party.